Hey people, welcome back to Bricks with Tips. You're here with myself, Tayo, co-founder of Bricks with Tips. If you're new here, I run Bricks with Tips with my wife, Antoinette. Bricks with Tips is an educational platform where we help you be better at property or do better at property or achieve your property goals. We help you be better with your finances and we help you achieve wealth as well. We recently were on the Sunday Times Alternative Rich List, which is about our impacts to helping people with their financial well-being. Huge achievement for ourselves. You can go check it out. Just type in Sunday Times Alternative Rich List. But in this video, guys, I want to talk to you about where it all started for myself. I'm going to get Antoinette to come on here and film a video like this as well for you guys. Actually, if you want to hear from Antoinette, because I know a lot of people do, comment below and say, guys, please can we hear from Antoinette on this too? So I can go to her, show her the comments and be like, babe, they're asking for you. Because if you don't comment, how's she going to know? Do you know what I mean? Anyways, I'm going to tell you guys where it all changed for myself, right? How it all changed, where it all changed. And don't get me wrong, there's been a number of things that happened in life that kind of put me in the mindset that I'm in today. But I'm going to talk about the 3 key changes that happened. But before we do, let me give you a bit of background to myself. So I'm a middle child born to Nigerian parents that moved over here. My parents instilled a work ethic in myself. I'm not sure if they did it intentionally, but I always saw how hard they worked. And I always saw how much they were on moving forward. What I mean by that is that they're working hard at what they're doing now, but there was always some kind of plan, some kind of strategy. Guys, when I film YouTube videos, I tend to freestyle in it. So I'm actually making a realization that that is probably where my strategy mindset comes from, right? My always planning forward, because my parents, even though they were working hard on what they were doing today, there was always something that they were working on. And that kind of is kind of shown, even if you look at where I lived when I grew up. So I used to live in Borough. Then moved to like Old Kent Road, Woolworth Road, Peckham Sides. Then moved to Catford. Then moved to Bromley. And then when I moved to Bromley, when my parents moved to Bromley, that's when I kind of finally moved out. But even with that, like I'm hearing that and I'm hearing 2 things, right? Strategy and action, right? The ability to move and take action. So growing up, I was always someone that always did things like, I did all your typical things, like I sold sweets in school, or I made sure that I got a job in university. When I finished university, or like while I was in university, I used to read up on things like drop shipping, trading forex. Like I read, I learned, I wanted that change in it. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But as mentioned in this video, I'm going to speak about the 3 key things that changed everything for me. The pivots, right? All of those things that I mentioned created fundamentals, which were super, super important, right? But I want to speak about 3 things that were key for me, but can always be key, also be key for you. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Because I spoke about the fact that I worked in university, or I had brothers. Some of you don't have siblings to learn off or to bounce off, or some of you may not have parents that you could see a good example from. So here's some things that you can do if you don't have any of these things. And if you do have these things, here's some things that you can do that worked well for me. Let's cook. Number 1, books. On Bricks with Tips, we often say that education is good as money or better than money. Guys, if you don't know what you don't know. That's just a fact, right? Financial education books are super important. And financial education books, for me, they're not even important to tell you that, yeah, you need to invest in this to get that, or it's just about understanding money. And the truth is, if you're going to watch this video and you want change and you're not willing to pick up a book, then you need to ask yourself, how much do you actually want change? Does that make sense? Like, how much do you actually want change? Guys, I'm sure that you've heard of many people that have told you that they read Rich Dad Poor Dad, or Atomic Habits, or one of the books that are behind me here, and said that it changed their life. It can change your life. We're not just saying that. And a lot of the people that you have heard say that, maybe you look at them and they're in a position that you'd like to be at. Do not ignore that. You cannot afford to ignore that. So please, please do consider books. Do consider the power of financial education. If I speak about one of the books, and yeah, Look, it is Rich Dad Poor Dad. That was one of the books, but it wasn't necessarily the lessons about investing in that book. It was just how to think about money, right? How to think about it, how to understand it, right? How to ensure that you're getting money to work for you. Like one of the basic principles that I learned in that book is that you need to see investing as your money is a little employee that's going to work for you forever, right? So if you invest £10, even though that £10 is no longer in your pocket, that £10 is going, same way you're going to work from 9 to 5, that £12 is going to work from 24 hours from the day that you put it aside for investment. And even though that £10 might be making 10p a month, when you keep on building and building and building and building and building and building, and you get better investing, so maybe the next time you invest, that £10 makes £1 a month, you start to get to a position whereby you understand that investing is the only really way out of this trap. I often think, I've got a circle in my mind, right? It's called earn. Right? Some people, spending is the end goal, earning is the first step, right? We all earn at some point, right? Going to work or hopefully earn, right? So you could earn and spend. Yeah, you could earn £2,000 and you can spend it all on rent, food, and the things that you like to enjoy. I'm not even going to say spoiling yourself, right? Because some of us aren't even spoiling ourselves and we have nothing left over. Next thing you can do is that you can earn, save, spend, right? This is very interesting because when you earn, save, spend, in order to save, you would have cut back on something. And they don't always have to be luxuries. Maybe you move from rented accommodation back to your parents' house, or rented accommodation, a studio, into a room share. But it's allowed you to save. Super, super important. This is better than the first option. But saving isn't where it ends. You need to earn, save, invest, then spend what's left. The reason why that's important is that let's look at someone that earns and spends, right? They earn £3,000, spend £2,000 on rent, £500 on bills, £500 on a car, just for example. Cool. Same person earns, saves, invests, then spends. So let's just say that their rent is £1,000. Spend £500 on bills, and they save £1,000 and invest 800 of it. Let's just say, for example. Now, the thing is, if they do that for a significant amount of time, and this is the thing, investing takes time, all of a sudden, they will find that they don't have to spend £500 on a car because their investment is paying for the car. And I'll give you a real example. If you've been following me, and sorry if that example didn't make that much sense, so I'm going to give you a real example. If you're following me, if you've been following me for a while, you'll know that I often said that I bought my first property, rented it out room by room, and then I bought a second property. And when I bought a second property, I literally used all of the income that I was getting from one of my rooms in my first house, which was £550, to buy a convertible Mercedes, at least a convertible Mercedes, right? But this is very important because my asset was paying for my liabilities. Does that make sense? So that means whatever I'm earning on my day job, I'm not using it to pay for the car. Because I waited, saved, earned, saved, invested, now my investment is actually paying for something that someone else would be otherwise paying out of their earnings. Hopefully that makes sense. So guys, that's how it helped me. Hopefully it can help you too. Guys, some other books for you to consider. I mean, we've got, what do we have here? We've got some books from our people then. Emmanuel Sukwo, The Ultimate Guide to Money. We've got Kia Commodore, How to Handle Money. We've got Ken and Mary, Financial Joy. We've got Bola Soul, Your Money Life. We've got Emmanuel Sukwo, Get Your Money Right. Other books by that I would have read before these books. We've got things like a specific book that I'm looking for. Great book. Oversubscribed by Daniel Priestley. The Richest Man in Babylon, loads of books. If you've got books you want to recommend to people as well, put them in the comments below. Before I move on from books, I just want to let you know that one of my friends, childhood friend, one of my brothers, we was in university, and he used to say to me, I'm already a millionaire up here. And I promise you guys, it sounded bad to me then. It doesn't sound bad to me today, because this is where it all starts. A millionaire starts in your head, right? So moving on, next one. So moving on to the next one, your circle and your environment. Once again, this is applicable to everybody. If you're in a group where you can't speak about earning £10,000 a month, you do need to understand that no matter how hard you try, it's going to have an impact on you reaching the goals that you set for yourself, right? And look, it's deeper than just your friendship groups as well. Like, if you live in a country where earning over £60,000 seems rare and you want to earn more than that, then you need to flood your content with something that is not from this country. And it's very, very interesting because I did a podcast with Lamide Elizabeth, and she mentioned that she used to watch American influencers because their ceiling was just much higher than that of the UK. And it's a very, very important to do. Your environment is super, super important. The content you consume is super, super important. Your surroundings set your ceiling. Guys, I can't explain this enough. And I'm not saying it to say get rid of old friends that don't get it. But it's important to identify that they might not be on the same vibe as you, the same wave as you. And there's nothing wrong with that. No one's right. But you need to align yourself with people that are. Let me take it away from money, because sometimes money can be a subject people want to touch on, right? Don't want to touch on, sorry. If you want to be a footballer, when it comes to training, don't train with your basketball friends. Go and train with footballer friends. Your basketball friends are still your friends for other things. But when it comes to football, you need to find a football tribe so you can improve. Does that make sense? Sorry about the sports analogy for the women that are watching. When you think about it, if a property portfolio is your goal and everybody around you has 50 properties, all of a sudden, through leveraging information, through asking questions, through the contacts they have, but most importantly, just through seeing and believing, you getting your first one will automatically just feel a lot easier, right? However, if nobody you know owns a single property and you want to build a portfolio, naturally, without you doing anything, you're going to find it harder. Now, change your environment could be a little bit difficult, but here's some starting points that you can do. Your environment can be the people that you follow on social media. I always tell people, curate your timeline. Very easily done. Whatever you want to achieve, whatever you want to be prosperous in, more content on that, more content on that, more content on that. Podcasts you listen to, consume the content. Make it your day to day. Just make it what you want to. Look, they say that 10,000 hours is what is needed to be an expert at anything. Ask yourself today, are you putting in your 10,000 hours? Networking events, I know it sounds like a cliche, but you need to be out there. You need to be in the mix to learn. And sometimes just the action of doing helps you be super intentional with whatever you want to achieve. Sometimes we just need an audit of our circle, right? If the common theme is surviving, not thriving, then you might need to find a circle that can help you thrive. The final one is a very important one, right? Shifting from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. Sounds, some people could sound like fluff, but it's super, super important. Growing up amongst friends, maybe even family, you might have heard stuff like, money doesn't grow on trees. Often, you can't afford this. Often, this isn't for people like us. And in some cases, right, it might have been from a position of scarcity, right? Because I know that a lot of my friends, their parents weren't born here. So their parents had to come here and graft, just like my parents had to as well, right? So it's nothing on the older generation, right? Their generation, in my opinion, had a tougher experience than ours. The point that I'm making is that they've brought you to a place where you don't have to dream small anymore. You can dream big. When you operate from scarcity, you play small, right? And for example, when you think of a business, when you operate from scarcity, you think about people in your community only, right? What do I mean by that? As you guys know, I do Airbnb as a business. And when I've added value to a property and I want to list it for £275 a month, I don't think about people that I grew up around, whether they can afford it, because I have an abundance mindset and I really believe there's an abundance of money out there. So I list the property confidently, knowing that there's people that make what I made in the last year in a month. in 2 weeks, in a week, literally. And those are the type of people that can see enough value that will book the property. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does make sense. An abundance mindset also stops you hoarding as well. So quite often some of us have done well to save, right? Whether it's 5K, 10K, 20K, whatever it may be. And because of that, and because of a scarcity mindset, you cover your money like this. Don't want to spend any of it. You don't want to take any risks. You don't want to invest in a business. You don't want to invest in yourself, even worse. And the question that I have for those people is that £5,000 that you saved is excellent, but aren't you in a position where you want to be making £5,000 a week? Aren't you someone who said that you want to make 10K a month, 20K a month, 3K a month? So that £5,000 isn't what you want anyway. So surely not investing it or putting it to use is slowing yourself down, right? And that's something that I always ask. You need to have an abundance mindset. I'm going to cut abundance mindset short a little bit as well, because I want to speak about what works for me really, really well as well, which is close to, it ties in with it a little bit. And that's giving, right? Some of you may be looking at me thinking, this is about making money. Why does giving allow you to make more money, right? First of all, you guys give all the time anyway. You just watching this video. How many parking fines have you had in the last year? How many times has a taxman ran up on you? So you give anyway, right? The giving that I'm talking about is, as you guys know, I'm a Christian, so through my faith, I tithe, I do offering, I give to the needy as well. So Antoinette and I have got a portion in our budget where it's just a help fund where we help people that need help, just in general. But that translates into other things as well. So for example, because we're so used to giving, we really understand reinvesting into our business, for example. So if our social media business made £12,000 in a month or something, right? We don't hoard it and just stack the money. We understand that we actually need to give some away. We do our giving, but even back to the business, so that next time that £12,000 can be £18,000. So what we might do is that we might spend £3,000 building out a website that's got really good SEO tools, so the next brand can find us easier. Does that make sense? And that's kind of how you kind of need to be with an abundance mindset. It doesn't stop at the 12K is the point I'm making. It can be 18K, it can be 25K, it can keep on going. But if you don't believe it, you'll never try to achieve it. In a crux, guys, scarcity makes you protect your pennies and abundance makes you just build your pounds up and up and up. So there you have it. Books, your environment and your circle, and a scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset. Guys, if you want to take the change in any of them today, just put in capitals which one you want to do. I'm going to apply some resources below that can help you in the description as well if you're looking to make any changes. And yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this video and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.